of the Week. I'm Alyssa Lander, the Religious Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. This month at First Church, we have been exploring the theme of listening. We've learned that we need to listen to the whispering voices of the divine, and that might be and sound like something different for each of us. But it calls us to listen to the world around us and to care about what we hear. There are a lot of people struggling for so many reasons, and we can't just continue on like we can't hear it. This is the biggest reason that Unitarian Universalists engage in social justice. Over the years, our own church has invested enormous amounts of energy into LGBTQ equal rights, climate justice, and immigration reform, just to name a few. But the one thing that we are not likely to do is talk about being Unitarian Universalists, and we should. I think there are a lot of people who would like to know that there is a safe place to explore and grow our sense of wonder at how beautiful this world is, and that there is peace in feeling connected to something bigger than you are, whatever that something may be. Today, on UU of the Week, we are going to learn about Quillen Shinn. He was a Universalist minister and circuit rider in the 1800s. This means that he rode a horse into nearly every nook and cranny of America and Canada, talking to people about universalism. He founded at least 40 churches between 1870 and 1907, recruiting more than 1,000 new members. And he also inspired 30 people to become Universalist ministers. So, just like we've talked a lot about how the Unitarian Church has changed over the years, the same goes for Universalism. We remember that the Unitarians believed in one God as opposed to the Trinity, and were generally pretty liberal in their beliefs given the times. They were theological dissenters. And now I don't know why that requires jazz hands, but it just does. And therefore, they ruffled a lot of feathers, including those of Quillen Shinn, who had some words for the Unitarians at the time, calling them the go-as-you-please church. Scandalous. Quillen was a Universalist. They were more conservative, but they preached that all people, no matter who they were universally saved. But at the end of the day, Unitarians and Universalists were more similar to each other than they were different. And even in the 1800s, there was talk of combining the two movements together, but Quillen Shinn was not a fan of this and wanted nothing to do with it. So he might be disappointed to learn that later on, the Unitarians and the Universalists continued to grow as liberal faiths, both moving away from dogma or the rules found in the Bibles, and later joined forces to become the Unitarian Universalist Church in 1960. But back to our circuit rider. Quillen Shinn wanted to share the message of universal salvation with as many people as he could. So he traveled to small towns to preach anywhere that he could gather enough people, even turning a blacksmith's workshop once into a gathering hall, and one of his tools, the lathe, into an altar. Quillen Shinn sometimes averaged a sermon a day and spoke to so many people that some criticized him for hopping around so much, even calling him a grasshopper. But Shinn was truly invested in the people that he helped convert to Universalism. He even traveled back to the 40 churches that he helped plant to check on their progress and helped with whatever was needed, even raising the funds himself to help them build their church buildings. Quillen Shinn definitely listened closely to the call in his heart that inspired him to tell the world, or at least most of North America, about being a Universalist. I know I need to work on my elevator pitch. the few sentences that explain why I'm UU, instead of just apologizing and desperately trying to explain that UU church is different. It's not a normal church. Now, UU World spoke to a minister of a Universalist church that Quillen Shinn once served at about our hesitation to talk about being UU. He said, "Still, we have that reticence, don't we? Maybe we need to get over it and be more like Quillen Shinn and get out and tell the good news." Baby steps, though, am I right? Thank you for taking baby steps with me and learning about another great Universalist from our history. And cheers to you if you made it all the way to the end of this, even with all the uncharacteristic talk about the divine and maybe admitting that we like to go to church. Until next time.